Welcome into Ice Time Online. I'm Brendan Burke with Dave Eminian as always, and we are down here. Where are we? We're down deep in the Civic Center today.
Yes, we are. We're actually, as we film this, we're on lockdown. Vice President Biden is upstairs, a couple levels speaking, but we're here talking about the Zamboni, and Lefty, as he's known in this building, is the guy who takes care and maintains the ice. And it's springtime. We're into April, so it's a little bit of an extra challenge with the warm weather to take care of that out there.
We always talk a lot about the players, the coaches, the staff inside the locker room that do a whole lot of work to make this whole product possible. These guys certainly don't get enough credit. We've done the changeover. Now a little look at what goes on actually to keep ice in Peoria almost year-round and let these guys skate on it. And last week, you sat down with President of the American Hockey League, David Andrews, and we have the rest of that interview as well. So, another edition of Ice Time Online. We're here on the ice, the home of Joe Bricker, otherwise known as Lefty. That's what's on the back of his jersey when he's riding around on that Zamboni. This is a challenge for anybody to maintain an ice surface for this period of time. This is the same ice you guys put back in over the summer.
Correct, yes.
So what goes into, I know on a daily basis, it's not just the Zamboni that the fans see when they're coming around at the games. You're out here all the time, chipping, edging, doing all sorts of stuff.
Right. We keep the ice at a certain depth. If you don't constantly stay on top of it, you're going to end up with either really low ice or ice that gets too high and starts getting soft. So the closer we keep between an inch and a quarter, players are a lot happier. They got a lot better ice. They're not throwing up a bunch of slush.
You're going to bring out the edger and start chipping away. What are you trying to do along the edges here?
Well, what we do here is we have buildups along the side here with a lot of the players coming on and off and all the shavings that get pushed up. Well, what happens is it starts building up and you get clumps along there. So as you're going by with the Zamboni, what it does is it causes that conditioner to start hopping. So you're missing spots. So if you take that edger, and what that does is that smooths everything out along the edge, then I'll come through with a chipper, and what that chipper does will knock all that away. That gives you a smooth, true surface coming down and in both. And that way, once the Zam goes around, everything is just smooth and everything just goes right in together.
I think everybody that's come to a hockey game, it goes through their mind at one point, I want to drive that thing. You drive the Zamboni. How did you learn to drive the Zamboni?
Well, I've always been interested in heavy equipment, and then after I lost my hand, a buddy of mine, he was telling me, well, you got to come down and try this. So I thought, well, that'd be pretty neat. Well, and you're right, a lot of people think you just get on it.
Yeah.
It's not that way. We could go out and do the same exact thing time and time and time, and probably I'd say 95% of the time you have a different outcome. So you just constantly got to be looking on the sides of you, looking down where your auger's at, what you're taking in. What you try to do is put down as much water as what you take up. That way you keep your surface even, and you're not losing a lot of ice.
And I'm sure it's different driving a Zamboni with only one out there than two.
Yeah, you got to be more aware of how much you're taking in. I did have one time, when I was first learning, I didn't know all that, and that was part of the learning process. Well, I ended up taking off way more than what I was supposed to, and by the time I got back over to the Zam entrance, we had a nice pile of snow.
So here we are at the beginning of April. It's starting to get beautiful outside. It's starting to be more like baseball weather than hockey weather. I'm assuming that presents a little bit of a challenge for you trying to keep this ice surface.
The more we keep this area closed up, the better off we're going to be. We don't have the warm drafts coming through, and it benefits all of us that way.
And then when the season's over, you just turn the heat on and it all goes away, right?
Well, if it's that easy, at the end of the season, what they'll do is turn the coils off. And so the bottom will start freezing. We'll go around with the Zambonis, and we'll take off as much of the ice as we can without hitting the logos. Once we get down so low, then everything, the heat will also be up in here, and everything will start melting out, and they'll push everything down to the pits down at the other end.
All right, Lefty, thanks for hanging out with us and letting us know about the ice. Without him, we'd be playing roller hockey.
Ice Time Online now with Dave Andrews, President of the American Hockey League. It's good to see you in Peoria, sir.
Thank you.
One of the things that we've been hearing a lot about is that the NHL is interested in a two-referee system for I think 40% of the games in the AHL next year. Where is that plan?
We haven't seen a proposal from the National Hockey League yet. I've had a brief conversation with Bill Daly, and We're not exactly certain where the sort of genesis of this idea has come from, whether it's from the general managers themselves or from the NHL officiating department. There's a number of ways to look at it. I mean, is it a statement about the quality of officiating in our league and that the two-man system is superior and that we should have it, or is it a question of training officials for the National Hockey League? We have made available to the NHL the opportunity to do a two-man system, two-referee system whenever they feel it necessary to help get a guy ready to go to the NHL, and that hasn't been used very, very effectively. So that proposal, we have to see the proposal first, and the answer to where the referees will come from. Obviously, they'll come from lower-level leagues, and we'll be moving people up probably quicker than they normally would move up.
Is there any love within the league at all for someday going to an NHL playoff format, the 8 seeds in the conference, that style?
Yeah, I think there may be some interest again. We're going to float that idea back to our Board of Governors this spring. One of the challenges that we have, really the only challenge with it that we have is as we get down to the end of the regular season, you can look, if you're, and probably fans don't and media don't because it's not their problem, but it's our problem to get our teams from A to B and travel them, and we don't charter like NHL teams do. And in the Western Conference particularly, there's a lot of air travel. And the permutations and combinations that you have with a 1 to 8 playoff structure going into the last day of the season, knowing that you have to play that coming Wednesday or Thursday, it seems like a small thing, but it's not. In our current divisional setup, at least it's more predictable. There's only a couple of options as to who might play who, and have to fly and buy airline tickets. When you go 1-8, it gets a lot more complicated. One of the things that we know is that each time we've tried that 1 versus 8 NHL type format, the league has ended up in the red at the end of the playoffs, and every time we've gone with a divisional format, we've ended up in the black. So somewhere along the way, there's a statistical trend there that's likely to keep us in our divisional alignment
and that's
format.
The travel cost.
It's travel cost entirely.
We're mired in a very tough economy, and I'm interested in what kind of things you see from teams and how they're dealing with this, what's going on around here.
Well, the good news is we've weathered the storm, and let's hope the storm is starting to abate here after 2 years. But if we go back over the 2 years from the start of the downturn, we're actually now ahead in revenue in ticket sales across our league. We're ahead in corporate sales. So, other professional sports leagues have not had that success. Obviously we're at a different price point. I think we offer real good value for fans that can get their families out and have some entertainment, and people still want to be entertained and they want to get out and do things with their families. So I think that's been a big part of us being able to get through this in a positive way.